One of the worst things you can do in investing is listen to other people speak about a specific asset or asset class when really they are not credible to speak about that specific thing. Now, how can you avoid making terrible decisions because you listen to the wrong party or people? Well, you look at what the smart money is doing. What are the really large institutions and massive swaths of capital doing with their time, energy, effort, and most importantly, their resources? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the largest asset manager, BlackRock, that just had a recent interview and talked about the FTX collapse and ultimately what they see for this asset class. Now, I will remind you, they just partnered with Coinbase about 6 months ago to release Bitcoin trading to their institutional clients, which was their first leg into the crypto and blockchain industry. And now their CEO, Larry Fink, just recently said this.
Has this changed your view of crypto at all? You now have a deal with Coinbase. And yet you were always sort of also, I think, a bit of a skeptic of all of this.
Oh, I actually believe most of the companies are not going to be around. I still believe that. I do believe
because they're now real, they're frauds, they're what?
Well, I mean, think about FTX. I mean, you could look back now. FTX created it. Its failure was it's creating its own token. It was not a DeFi. It wasn't a ledger that was open to the world. It was a closed ledger.
Right.
It was not distributed. So the whole foundation of what crypto is, it's supposed to be a distributed ledger that is across the system. I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in an ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem. You don't need trust banks.
But does that disrupt you eventually? Because you are custodying all of these assets.
No, we're not a custodian. We're not, we use third-party custodians in everything we do.
In everything you do?
We're not a custodian bank.
So your goal, by the way, I don't think that he was technically a custodian either, which is a separate issue.
I think they were. I don't know if there was a real custodian in that closed ledger, but that's a whole other story. You should ask him that question. No, I mean, the transformation, think about instantaneous settlement, bonds and stocks. No middlemen. We're going to bring down fees even more dramatically. As for me, I don't have to vote on any shares anymore because the beneficial owner will do all the voting.
As you can see, the largest asset manager is extremely bullish on the growth of blockchain and ultimately cryptocurrency over a longer term time horizon. And it's really difficult when you're in the depths of a bear market. A lot of people spreading fear, uncertainty, doubt, and disbelief of the entire industry. And trust me, I know I've been in multiple bear markets before, specifically in crypto. And this is always what happens towards the bottom. You get a ton of disbelief and a ton of people saying, hey, this thing is not going anywhere. But you got to look at what the smart money is doing. And that's so huge that we have this bear market. It's way different than other previous bear markets because we finally have the most important companies and largest asset managers and public companies and insurance companies and endowments all getting into this industry. So it shows you that there is real adoption that is happening, that we're in parties where they control trillions and trillions of dollars. To give you an idea, BlackRock has between $8 and $10 trillion under management. Okay. All of crypto is less than, it's about like $800 billion right now. It's not even 1 trillion. So they're 8 times at least larger than all of crypto, and they're so bullish on the growth of the industry. Now, the second thing that he said was that he believes that equities and bonds and likely other assets are going to be tokenized on a public distributed ledger. That's what blockchain technology is. That's why everyone is so excited about this technology, is because it's just an open ledger, aka an accounting book that stores and records transactions and data, which is unbelievably valuable. It's very similar to like an AWS, where you can go build different, applications and it records information, data, and stores things. Same thing with public blockchains. You can also make them private if you wanted as well. But that is what's happening with the technology. It's pretty much a distributed AWS that is public and free for anyone to use, which is a really, really big deal. And he believes that all assets are going to be tokenized, similar to the World Economic Forum. There was multiple videos of the World Economic Forum getting together and saying they believe $700 trillion in assets, which is pretty much like all assets on Earth, are going to be tokenized. And the reason why they believe it's going to be tokenized is because it makes everything more efficient. It's more efficient and it's transparent because it's held on an open distributed ledger. So when markets can settle instantaneously and it's more efficient and they can trade 24/7 because every asset has been tokenized, that's going to make markets way more efficient. And ultimately, that's how things progress. When technology makes things more efficient and more effective, that technology will eventually gain adoption. And that is exactly what blockchain technology and ultimately crypto is going to help facilitate. And I must remind you, the blockchain is the open ledger. The cryptocurrency is just the value transfer system through the blockchain. And when you tokenize an asset on a blockchain, right now, the value of that coin behind the blockchain is it's used for gas fees. So every single transaction on the blockchain, it uses the native coin. Let's say it's the Ethereum blockchain. It uses the ETH token as a gas fee. Okay. Also, it's that native currency with inside of that ecosystem. So if you're paying for anything, if you're buying tokenized assets, NFTs, whatever the heck you're doing, you're using that native coin typically as the value transfer system or that currency with inside of that ecosystem. So when that ecosystem expands and grows, then that coin has more value. And that's why we do so much research on the specific blockchains, on layer ones and layer two blockchains. And we want to see, hey, are the number of new wallets growing? Are the number of new transactions growing? What's the developer activity look like? How many new applications are being, developed on top of the chain? All those things. We want to see things that just show growth on that blockchain, because ultimately that's going to bring value to that native coin. And that's why it's so different. And people that come from traditional finance, like myself, have a difficult time understanding how would this coin accrue value and why would I ever invest in it? It's because you're not looking at free cash flows. This is not a business. You're trying to evaluate a protocol, not a business. They're completely different. You're evaluating code that gets value and accrues value from growth in something I call the network/ecosystem effect. Businesses are evaluated way, way differently. Anyways, I wanted to share with you again what the largest asset manager in the entire world is saying about the industry, so you understand what is actually happening. And you're not listening to Uncle Phil at Thanksgiving dinner telling you that Bitcoin is going to zero next week. Because again, you got to listen to what credible people are saying. And here's the key. You don't want to just listen to what they are saying. You want, that you can take that with a grain of salt, but when what they are saying also matches with where they're putting their time, energy, effort, and resources, then that is a validation that what they're saying is true. Sometimes there will be some big parties that come out and say X, Y, and Z, but meanwhile, they're doing the inverse of what they just said, because they're trying to get, motion to move one way so they can get their foot in the door. That sometimes happens. So what I do is I verify what they're saying with their actions, or I only listen to their actions. But it's obvious that BlackRock is taking this industry very seriously because their actions are aligning with exactly what they're saying. Hope you got value from this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Good luck to you and hope to see you here on this next video.